we can jump to chapter 2. Create a library. Well, that's the first thing you want to do when you open Final Cut before starting a new project. It's good to have one library for every single project you have. Let's jump on my computer for an example. So here we are inside Final Cut. What you are seeing just right now is the video that you're looking at that I'm editing. But if we go on the upper left corner, you can see that all of those logos are for libraries. Actually, I'm in this one, How to 2023. That's all the project I made on this channel since January 1st. So all of those things we see right here with numbers are the project I made. Just under that, we can see right now all the clips, pictures, audio that I needed to import inside that library to create those projects. There is some other things inside project. If I hit that arrow, we could see some other things. There's not much to see inside that one, but if I go, for example, on that one, this is a customer I have. So I create a library for that customer, and every time you come and see me, I create a new event. So those are event, and when I need to import new stuff for that new event, I put it inside those event instead of the library, so not all the things get messed up. When I go for a bigger project where I need to import a lot of files for a single things, like for example this one, this is a project I made about ice climbing, so there's a lot of media for only one video. I create a library just for that project. So basically a library is those things that we can see just right here that contain everything, the media and your project and your event. Not only it's your save file, but it's also a kind of a way to be organized. So now what you will need to do to create that famous library is to come up here on File, New, and Library. So like this. Now, if you don't have a very huge and very fast internal SSD on your computer, I highly recommend to set it on an external one. I personally use this Glyph of 4 terabyte that is connected over USB-C, and that is very fast. And that does a very great job for me. Then give it a name, choose where you want to save it, and hit save. Remember my first lesson? Don't make people waste their time. Actually, I really want to talk to you about video editing drives, but that's not the main subject of that video. This is why I left in the description a bunch of links to other video of subject related to that one. So if you need advice about video editing drive, take a look at the video number 1 in the description. So let's go back to our new library. Set the import settings to leave files in place. If you don't do that, Final Cut will make a copy of every single video you use in your project to the library. This means that if you're working on a project with 500 gigabytes of video files, this will take at least 1 terabyte on your hard drive just because of the duplicates. The advantage of duplicating everything to the library is that you will never lose the link to a file because everything is in the library. But the cost is huge. By leaving file in place, the only thing that Final Cut will remember to re-find your file is the name of the file and its location on the disk. This is why it's very important when you work as leave file in place to never ever rename or relocate a file to another folder. You might end up with missing a file by doing so. Well, it's not the end of the world. If you lose track of a file, you can still relink it, and most of the time, if Final Cut is on while you rename or move a file, it will keep track of it most of the time. But it's just good to get used to not move or rename your file. And yes, this requires you to be well organized before starting your project. Next point, disable background render. And this is to avoid having very huge useless files. I first need to explain what is a render. Basically, when you import a video, well, it's just a video, so Final Cut can read it like any other player on your computer. But when you start adding a title, a zoom in, a color correction, another title, well, those are all things that Final Cut need to generate in real time. What you're seeing just right now is only a video, but while I was doing the video editing, that was all things that need to be generated. And this is hard on your computer. This is why as soon as you had an effect on the clip, you will see those white dots over the clip. The white dots mean that this part of the timeline will be generated in real time when you play it. If it's a basic effect, just like this title, that should be alright. It may, however, require a bit more power if it's animated. But if you put a lot of stuff, well, that you should render it. The render will basically only create a video file of your clip and effect so that Final Cut can read it very easily. But the thing with the render is that it will take a lot of space on your disk. This is why I disable background render. Otherwise, as soon as you modify something, it will create a new render file right away. So, you might end up with 20 render files for a single portion of a video, just because you work onto it and modify a lot of things in the process. When you disable background render, you just need to select the part you want to render and hit Ctrl-R, R like render, to start the render that you will see progress on the upper left corner. But still, when you know how to get rid of it, it's not a problem. Well, let's see how to do it. In fact, I can show you how to delete it if you go take a look at the video number 9 in the description. Now, the preview window. Is it better to use it in better quality or better performance? I personally use it in better quality. In better performance mode, the image will look not so good. But don't worry, this has absolutely no effect on your final result. This is only for the preview of your timeline. Next point, saving your project. Well, this is a very good point about Final Cut. You don't ever need to save. No, because everything is saved in real time. If Final Cut crash, yes, it happens sometime. But when I say sometimes, it's not like every 30 minutes like with Adobe Premiere. No, it's really sometime. Actually, when was the last time? I don't even remember. I would say it's about 5 times a year. For a video editor just like me that produce between 800 and 1000 video every year on a 6 years old computer. And when it do crash, the worst case scenario you can have is that you will have lost your very last manipulation. Now, if you made a mistake and want to return in the past, you can still open a library from a backup. Those backups are made automatically from time to time, and your save file is actually the library that you created at the beginning. That video was only a chapter of a bigger video about video editing with Final Cut, and you can see it just right there. Hey, see you there. See ya.